Well, now also on Saturday, the Christian Devils got together on Capitol Hill in an effort to try to figure out what to do this week, but there was no progress. Now, when I say the Christian Devils, there are also some regular fascists, Republican fascists in there. But the Christian Devils are the ones that have a chokehold on what the corpse of the Republican Party is allowed to do or will do. So there was no progress in coming up with a strategy for overcoming this sick, filthy opposition within what these people still think is the Republican Party. I mean, Mitt Romney has finally decided, fuck this, time to leave. A lot of them. Now, he's a senator, of course, but a lot of people who are in politics are looking around and just saying, I can't deal with this shit anymore. The Christian Devils have gotten enough of a chokehold on our system of government as to render it inoperable and to turn it into something that is vile and vicious, full of hate, full of destruction, full of dishonor, and they call that Christianity. Wow. These devils couldn't even agree to a stopgap spending measure that would keep the government open past next Saturday, which, not that we give a shit, but we should. It's the end of the current fiscal year, 2022, 2023. Is that right? Yeah. Instead, according to what I have here, I think it's from the Times, 2 humiliating procedural defeats on the House floor slammed Kevin McCarthy right across his goddamn face. And as a result of that, he relented to the demands from the Christian Devils to bring to the floor a series of full-year spending bills with steep cuts that would be almost as bad as just defunding the government. But this is what Kevin McCarthy is willing to do. This miserable son of a bitch doesn't care either. I mean, he may not be a loudmouth, blabbering Christian fascist, Kevin McCarthy, or Christian devil, but he is on the same plane because he is an utter and absolute cowardly little man who lusted after power, made his deal with his devil, or 3 of them, actually, 4 of them, and now he has to get ready for the guillotine to come down on the back of his neck. It will happen. Kevin McCarthy can only bend over so many times for these son of a bitches until his spine snaps. So, even though these Christian devils have presented something to Kevin that would just gut the government of the United States. Oh, it would keep it open, but it would totally gut it. It's impossible to negotiate any kind of a final version with the Senate in the 5 days or 4 days. These bastards don't work like you and I do. That are left before this hammer comes down. Oh, my God. So Kevin, according to New York Times, Kevin is now looking at a 45-day extension of federal spending into November, though he's not going to get it. It's not going to happen because the Christian devils, they're not there to compromise. They're there to destroy. They're there to burn to the ground anything and everything that stands in their way. Look at history of what the Christian fascists will do. Look over the centuries of what these son of a bitches have done to their fellow human beings, their fellow countrymen, even members of their own religion who are not insane enough to go along with, the Inquisition or the Holocaust or the Crusades or all this crazy goddamn blood and gore and death that these Christian fascists have spread across this planet. Jesus God. So there is no chance to get a stopgap funding measure passed. It's not going to happen. So with the U.S. House, where all money bills have to come from the House, with it paralyzed, with this death grip that the Christian demons have on the entire 435-member House, Senator Chuck Schumer, who's the majority leader in the Senate, has set in motion a procedure for the Senate to pass its own temporary funding measure this week and send it to the House with both Democratic and Republican votes from the Senate. And a test vote in the Senate is set for tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll see what happens with that, right? Now, there is a bipartisan group in the House that is also exploring some procedural options to bring a very short-lived spending plan to the floor of the House. Now, when I say a bipartisan group, I'm talking about Democrats and zombies. The Democrats, of course, are part of the Democratic Party. The zombies are the living dead who think that they're still Republicans, but they're not. They're rotting corpses. There is no Republican Party anymore. But these somehow still animated walking dead are apparently meeting with the Democrats to try to figure out something to do, how to avoid this. I think any Democrat that's involved in meetings with the walking dead ought to be very, very careful, because if those son of a bitches bite you, well, you know what'll happen. So if McCarthy, poor old Kevin, if he relies on Democrats to pass what is known as the CR, or the continuing resolution, just to keep things open for a few more weeks, he is going to be removed as the speaker, because the Christian devils, these demonic little bastards that are running around in the House, will remove him from office. Over the weekend on CNN, Representative Tim Burchett, a Republican of Tennessee, this Tim Burchett is another Christian devil. He said that if Kevin tries to work with Democrats and get a continuing resolution passed, he, Tim, will vote to kick Kevin to the curb. You see? Christian devils will not compromise. They don't have to, because in their sick, twisted brains, in their psychopathic way of thinking, they think that their God or their Messiah or their angels or whatever bullshit they can conjure up is on their side and is instructing them at night when they go to bed. Well, I pray every night to my Lord and Savior, and he tells me what to do. And he's told me that if Kevin McCarthy tries to keep the government open, then I should vote to throw him away. That's what my God and Lord and Jesus have told me. That's how sick these fuckers are. My God. And Mr. Tim Burchett, these little Christian devils, said he would not support stopgap legislation under any circumstances. You see what I'm saying? There's no way that these evil bastards would ever cooperate because they feel they don't have to. Huh? At a news conference on Saturday, Garrett Graves of Louisiana, a confidant of Kevin, argued that Republicans were, quote, ensuring we're doing everything we can to avoid government shutdown, end quote. Now, Garrett happens to be just a mere Christian fascist. I don't think he has graduated to Christian devil status yet, but he'll get there. He'll get there. All right. I have a break coming momentarily. I don't know how you feel about my linking this sick form of Christian bullshit with fascism and with the governance of the United States. But if you think about it, if you do your own independent studies, I think you'll come to the same conclusion. These are not political aspirants who in the Republican Party who are engineering this chaos. They are not. What they are Christian devil operatives who have been told by somebody, somehow, maybe their own twisted voices they hear in their head. When somebody talks to their God, it's called prayer. When God talks to them, it's called psychosis. So apparently these psychotics have come to the conclusion they can do any of this because they hear the voices in their head. Oh, my God. All right. Oh, there goes I hope that's not a missile. I'll be back momentarily. Stay with me. I'm Mike Malloy. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.